excuse my language, don't fuck with Super GT.
The trees have been sorted.
Oh, well, I won't go that far. Every other patch note, there's something to do with trees. Hello and welcome back to the Traxion Control podcast, your weekly dose of sim racing news, idle gossip and racing game updates. Slightly different format this week because it's been a bank holiday here in the UK, for those who don't know, like a public holiday. And so we're going to rattle through some of the biggest news topics and then a lot of community questions, which you can also take part in. Traxion.gg/Discord. Nearly messed up again.
Well done.
Covered it. We'll move on. It's not been edited. That's how it is. All right. And the biggest news story is something we've talked about recently before, but it came back with a vengeance while we were on holiday, but we still covered it. Traxion GG, we covered it before anyone else. But now that's a real strange thing to say because sometimes we just can't do that. But we generally try to, and this was that Project Motor Racing's Japanese DLC has reappeared, but with a new name. It now is no longer got the GT500 moniker in the title. So I think we can deduce what was going on there.
Yes. Some very some predicted licensing entanglement, shall we say, looks like the issue here. And they've also adjusted the names of some of their cars to remove JGTC from any of the language used. So yeah, we can very comfortably deduce what's gone on here, and it's not really a big surprise in my personal opinion.
It sounds like a faff, doesn't it? It sounds like another licensing hurdle that all these games have to struggle over. It was interesting. I think back to who was the game studio that we spoke to, and they were talking about licensing, and they said that when they first started, it might have been Marco, was saying that when he set a course of the first one, they had one person working on licensing, and now they have 3 or 4. Just goes to show how much of a minefield licensing is, and this is what happens when you get it wrong. And is it rare? Can we think of any other examples where something like this has happened?
Oh, there's a lot of licensing shenanigans going on, especially the last few years, but I am not aware of something having to be removed from sale in this manner. There's been things expired that have been removed, but that's clearly the license is expired and you have to go, right? But this. Well, we don't know for sure, but it felt like a mistake.
Oh, it must have been. This obviously wasn't the plan to put it up and take it down. But it's interesting. I reading the Traxion GG article this morning about this, and I do find it funny that Takemiya circuit is there totally unlicensed. Nobody's making a penny from the Okayama inspired track, and that's absolutely fine. Whereas to actually go and put this the licenses into the game, the GT500 license into the game, which is only, in my opinion, only a good thing for the racing series. It's like, nope, remove.
I think a lot of it comes down to the individual party as well. So I think, for example, if Okayama were to have a problem with this, I could see that causing more issues. Again, it's total guessing, speculation. I don't know that, but I get the feeling that it's down to an individual basis. And there's possibly a reason why we haven't really seen too many Super GT machines in many games over the years, maybe aside from the odd car in Gran Turismo 7 and the Gran Turismo franchise in general. Basically, and excuse my language, don't fuck with Super GT.
Yeah.
Allegedly, of course.
Yes, that's true.
No, I am glad to see that the trees have been sorted. I was reading through the patch notes, and there's a bit. I'm just scrolling through the Traxion GG website now to find it, but there's a line which I thought was quite funny. Well, here it is. Found it. Further improvements made to trackside vegetation for better performance and reduced shadow popping. Vegetation is a great word. It just thinks it takes you back to the interview that you did, Tom, with Straightfall's Kevin, where he went deep into a challenge that he's currently having with trees. Looks like maybe he's overcome that challenge.
Oh, well, I won't go that far. I mean, every other patch note there's something to do with trees, but maybe a step closer to what they want.
It's an evolution, not a revolution when it comes to trees.
Yeah,
the grass has still got a long way to grow to reach the height of Rennsport's grass. I'll say that.
No, PMR has the best grass in sim racing.
No, Rennsport's got the longest grass though.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's the length I'm talking about. Have you just go do a lap of Road Atlanta and you'll see what I mean.
Sometimes you can't see like where the tracks go because the grass is too long, right? They need a lawnmower in that game. That is weird. Good point.
Is that like a metric by which we measure success in racing games? Length of grass?
No. Well, No, it can't be. It can't. Well, unless it's inverse. The longer the grass is, the worse the game.
I think maybe we're behind the curve. I think we're missing something. We're the dinosaurs of this industry, and actually, the whole sim racing world has moved on. And length of grass, you'll start seeing that on the front the Steam store pages.
If we're talking scale here, could you imagine if Rennsport had Croft and Snetterton? Just how tall those fields would be. Like you'd be lost for years.
Back to licensing. This is a really important thing, though. This whole Project Motor Racing case. I think this is yet another example of straight false studios flying too close to the sun. We've seen it. Like I know a lot of people in the industry who are apoplectic with rage about the approach they're taking to the track names for certain venues, like a laser scan circuit with all, it looks exactly like a certain venue, but it's got a different name. However, the track licensing at the minute for certain venues is extortionate, and people don't really understand and appreciate that. So I can see both sides to that. Also, with this, we can only purely speculate. I'm just happy at the end that these cars are now still available again and in a contemporary sim or driving game, because no one else has managed it. And it is clear that the car manufacturers are happy with it and have licensed officially. It's just to do with the naming, the nomenclature used of the branding of the car classes is what we can deduce. So
And just quickly as well, isn't it silly, because who cares what the name of the pack is if you know what the content is, and who cares what the name of the car is in the menu? It makes no difference, and it feels like obviously whatever's gone wrong here feels incredibly unnecessary and silly. I'm gonna be interested reading back the statement that went out the day after to try and decipher that, now that we know it's back and what's been changed, because the whole situation just feels incredible. Whoever's fault it, I'm not blaming the game. It might be something else. It might be miscommunication, but whoever the problem lies with, it feels so unnecessary.
Yeah, very pedantic. But onto some better news for RaceRoom fans. That's a terrible segue. What should I say there? Well, here are some cars that definitely will be okay with licensing. It's RaceRoom's next wave of GT3 cars, and this is important because, as one of the now, we have to say, official simulations of the DTM series, the real world German, Touring Meisterschaft used to be its name, right? But Touring Meisters, but it's GT3 cars now, so is it still called that? Anyway, I digress. 4 cars. We already knew these were coming, but they've actually shown work in progress images of these, and it was unveiled during the DTM Esports pre-show race, which you can watch back on the Traxion channel, and we'll be doing more detailed esports throughout the year. But also now there's a time frame of June for the release. Looking forward to these, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy watching John streaming the RaceRoom, the RaceRoom game. To be honest, it is. I do feel like when you're playing RaceRoom, you seem to be most at home. Not putting words in your mouth, John, but I do feel like RaceRoom has a soft spot in your heart, and it does come across quite well in the stream. So anything new in RaceRoom is a win for me. It's like the underdog that keeps on underdogging.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't disagree that I have a soft spot for it, and it's simply because when I do those ranked races, it just works and it's just fun, and it's like it's completely. I don't go into any of these streams with a predetermined idea of how much fun I'm going to have, or that I'm going to try and make something look enjoyable or less enjoyable. It's literally just, it is what it is. I'm racing and I'm calling it as it is. And generally speaking, I've had some great races on RaceRoom over the years. I've also had times where I've been less enamored by RaceRoom. But focusing on this content specifically, I was thinking of bringing up the question about when we would see the Temerario move onto Sims. So it's interesting to see RaceRoom go in that direction. They only recently, not recently anymore, but relatively recently got the Lamborghini involved, or the modern Lamborghini, into the game. And then all of a sudden we're looking now at the Temerario, which is of course the next edition from the Huracan. So I think that's a big coup, to be honest, for them. To be honest, it doesn't interest me that much to see more current gen GT3 cars in another sim that, like, we've been there, done that, we've talked about it so many times. However, it's good to move with the times, it's good to stay current, and I think it's an important series for RaceRoom. Therefore, it is important to have up-to-date cars.
I guess because my first instinct was, well, RaceRoom is the sim that doesn't do GT3s at Spa all the time, right? And that's kind of the appeal of it. But I suppose on the other side, if they do have more modern GT3s in the game, then it does mean that those who are hooked on the more classic historic racing, they don't have to leave, to use the phrase, the ecosystem to get their modern GT3 fix, which I guess means that they'll increase retention is probably their thoughts, right? People don't have to go elsewhere for that stuff. And those who do like the modern cars, maybe by them including these modern GT3s into RaceRoom, that crowd will try it out, because people love to give their opinions on a new physics model, a new tire model, etc. A new GT3 in a game. Maybe they'll try some of the more varied stuff whilst they're there.
Yeah, I mean, this is some of the you both tapped into some of the comments I saw, which was, GT3s in RaceRoom, rubbish, don't want these, blah 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 blah. And RaceRoom, I agree, is best at doing the weird, obscure stuff. Knut Stop and electric minis, love it all. I'm here for it. That's what I like. But we happen to know that I think the best-selling DLC pack for RaceRoom ever was a DTM GT3 pack. So, do you want them to survive? Or do you just want to complain that, I don't know, some weird historic car that no one's ever heard of is in the game or not, right? So you have to have both. I think RaceRoom does a really good job. If you look at the last update it brought Adria as a circuit. How obscure do you want? Love it. Doesn't exist anymore in real life, and it wasn't very popular when it did. However, on the flip side, hey, they're an official DTM partner, and if this is the first sim with Temerario in it, that's also quite cool.
Yes, this was going to be my question: is which sim would get Temerario first? I honestly did not expect it to be RaceRoom. It might not be. We might see it sneak in ahead somewhere else, but for it to already be mentioned in work is good, and I think it acts as not only modernizing, obviously, RaceRoom to bring in the current day GT3s and keep it as relevant as possible, but it's also just proof that RaceRoom as a platform is switched on and ready and willing to move for things that are brand new and are able to actually develop that, and are not just waiting for things to become a little bit outdated and for everyone else to use them and then kind of gaining some sort of access. Like, it just shows that they're here to stay and they mean business, which has been really the story with RaceRoom for the last few years.
I think actually on our Facebook page, facebook.com/TraxionGG, some of the comments got really toxic about this. I don't know why. Really random. Why are people getting that angry about GT3 cars coming to RaceRoom? Get a grip of yourselves, unless you're really upset that Lamborghini is coming to that, not iRacing or Le Mans Ultimate or whatever you've ever... Right, so very bizarre. It's only a good thing. And it doesn't mean that this is the only content coming in June, by the way. There could be some other stuff. Let's find out.
Oh.
There's usually a lot with RaceRoom anyway. Like they usually focus on a few different areas at one time, and also, like, why would you get annoyed about there being a few more new GT3 cars when there are already all the current GT3 cars anyway? It's not like they're already here. All we're doing is modernizing it. Anyway, it's a thing.
Right. Well, anyway, moving on from RaceRoom, we'll see those cars in a month or so. Which will be cool for some people, I guess. And also, just let's talk about what's coming up in May. There's a lot going on. There's an article on the Traxion website. And we cover, we obviously cover not just the sim stuff, we just cover the more accessible games. And we don't just cover the more accessible games, we cover some of the sim stuff. So we've got an article there running through also events that are coming up as well. And I'm going to ask you, John and Tom, to highlight, which of these they're most looking forward to. We'll start with John, if that's all right.
Well, I'll get it out of the way straight away. The really boring answer. I'm, of course, most looking forward to playing Forza Horizon 6. There are lots of kind of interesting sort of left field oddball games appearing in May. Honestly, none of them are sounding specifically to my taste. Like, none of these are the games that get me going. Whereas Forza Horizon 6 for a long time has been the thing I've been excited for. Yes, there's a few iRacing special events that I'd be interested in as well. There's like the Nürburgring 24-hour and the Indy 500, of course, where we can get crashed out on lap 2 again. But genuinely, despite all the things that are happening in May, unfortunately, it's Horizon 6 that's the one that really pulls my attention. And I do apologize for being boring.
Well, as a huge fan of James Bond 007 Nightfire, I am actually really looking forward to First Light. So I don't know what the physics models are going to be like. I can't imagine the tire models are up to much, but I am looking forward to that game generally. And a lot of the marketing does seem to have focused on the driving experience within the game. Obviously, there's going to be the Aston Martin license in the game as well, which will be cool. So yeah, interested to see what they do with the driving element of it. So yeah, I'm going to go left field and say that I'm most looking forward to the new James Bond game coming out, because it's been a while. I was looking through kind of like the release schedule. There hasn't really been a 007 game since 2012 with 007 Legends, which is quite a long time. According to Wikipedia, there was a game in 2023 called Cypher 007, but of all the games on that list, it doesn't even have a link. So I don't know what Cypher 007 was. I never heard of it coming out in 2023. So yes, it's been a it's been a dry spell for James Bond fans. So yes, I'm going First Light.
Right, a couple of things here to just clarify as well. When we were talking about them going all the way back to the race room, we're just clarifying that in June, the Ford Mustang, the Aston Martin Vantage Evo, the 2026 Porsche 911 GT3, and the Lamborghini Temeraire. I didn't read out the full list, but those are the GT3 cars. The second thing is you've both got completely the wrong answer. It's not 007 First Light or Forza Horizon 6. It's the most important and most thing we're excited for this month. It is, of course, the Sim Racing Expo in Charlotte. Now, full disclosure, we're a partner of Sim Racing Expo in Charlotte, but it's between the 22nd and 24th of May. Get your tickets now. There's a link in the description. But honestly, no, I'm really looking forward to Forza Horizon and 007 First Light, and we've got to disclose that we wouldn't normally cover a Bond game, but because there has been so much focus on the driving and the licensed cars in that game, we are going to touch upon it a little bit across our coverage on Traxion. And then also, all three of us will be in Charlotte, and we're really looking forward to that. There's been, I think I could be wrong here, but I think the exhibitor space is now sold out, so it'll be a packed event. The first one for the Sim Racing Expo in North America, and also there's going to be some cool stuff unveiled there. Not that we can say anything now, but it will be well worth your time.
It's going to be a busy weekend of news stories for you guys.
It certainly is.
Yeah, a bit of deja vu, but it's going to be really cool, I think, to bring it to a new audience, right? And we know that there are a huge number of North American sim racers, and I mean, I know a lot of the Traxion viewership is North American as well. It's going to be really cool to just bring all the sim racing stuff over, and the excitement of the expo that we've experienced over the last few years. I'm excited to share that with new audiences, and yeah, I think it's going to be packed and stacked and very exciting and very busy and very tiring and very rewarding for all of us.
Absolutely, we cannot wait to be there. I'll also just run down, if you've not seen the article on the website, a few other things that are happening this month. Obviously, there's some amazing iRacing special events, such as the Indy 500, the Nürburgring 24 just happened. The first proper round of DTM Esports, which you'll be able to watch, produced by us in the English language. That is towards the end of the month on the 30th. Then you've got Rennsport's much maligned and delayed, and will it ever turn up? May update, which was supposed to be April update, which is supposed to be March update. Let's see what happens there. Then... and then just to round off, obviously Forza Horizon 6, but there is also DLC if you're into the American Truck Simulator for Illinois, and the Crew Motorfest will have Remote Control Car DLC, which we will have an article on the Traxion GG website because I've played it already. I've already played it, and my verdict is a bit mixed. I preferred the other DLC of the Crew, but it's out on the day that this podcast releases, so I can say my verdict, which is there's a bit that looks like Hot Wheels, but it doesn't play as well as Hot Wheels. There's a top-down bit that plays like Motorsport Storm RC, but doesn't play as well as that. But then you do a race off-road, and it feels amazing and wonderful and brilliant and something really different against the likes of Forza. So if I find the time, you can also read more about it this week on the website.
Did you say Taxi Chaos 2 as well? Physical release on the 22nd of May?
Oh, yeah, sorry. The big news this week is Taxi Chaos 2, which is already out, gets a physical release. Fantastic.
Right. So I've been meaning to bring this up since this article went out. The physical release, is there still a group of gamers that wait for a physical release and just won't get a digital release? Is it because I saw a physical release on this list and thought, is that even a thing?
It is.
Yeah, there is.
I see it on
called
Discord.
Martin Big, and he works for Traxion.
Yeah, I know he's an avid collector.
I definitely see it on our Traxion Discord. Like certain members await physical releases for games, and obviously collections and things like that is definitely a thing. It's just a much smaller thing. But there's still passion for it.
It's basically, if you're a sim racer on PC, I don't think you care about this anymore, right?
No.
Because you're on a live service subscription thing with iRacing or Le Mans Ultimate and RaceRoom Ultimate Releaser. They're live service, you don't necessarily subscribe, but there's regular updates and there's DLC that you may want to purchase, right? But if you're a console gamer, I think there's definitely still a market for it. It's just that market's diminished.
Yeah.
Game preservation,
fair
man,
enough.
for the future of games. Think vinyl records and cassettes. Cassettes are now popular.
Yes, when the apocalypse comes and the internet drops out, those with the physical copies will be absolutely laughing.
Exactly that. Oh dear. Unless there's some weird DRM, which Sony did clarify it sounds okay in the end, but that was a big thing. Happened last week as well, wasn't there? Where you have to connect to the internet for 30 days. Anyway, it's been clarified. It should be good. Right. Let's not get down that tangent because clearly I don't know what I'm talking about there because I can't remember the details of it. We're just going to rush into some community questions, which were posted on the Discord already, the aforementioned Discord. We also have some on YouTube community and on social media, so you can contact us there as well. It's at Traxion GG. But for this particular episode of the pod, we're just going to go through some questions and opinions and thoughts
some
from
good
the
ones.
Discord. TFCN, do you think RaceRoom or iRacing would work on console if they could? And should they put it on console? Let's go Tom, first of all.
I mean, unless I'm missing something, my thoughts on this one is, well, of course, it would be great if they could and should, and that, you know, they would no doubt make their money back. iRacing, I expect, would definitely make their money back for that investment. It's got a huge brand, and if iRacing Arcade is tipped to be going console bound, which I expect it is, I think they've even said that they haven't put a date on it yet, but they've said that it's going towards consoles. Then iRacing would absolutely make sense. RaceRoom, is it too niche? I don't know. Perhaps it's too niche. Perhaps they wouldn't make their money back. But then wouldn't it be nice to have some more variety for those gamers who do race on console? So I guess there's two questions: is do we think it's going to happen, and do we think it should happen? And if it's the second question, should it happen? I suppose it depends if you're the game studio publisher or if you're the gamer. Because if you're the gamer, the answer is yes, of course. If you're the studio, I guess it depends. So I'm going to say iRacing absolutely 100%. RaceRoom, not sure. An interesting question. I'd love to chat to them and find out if they've ever considered it and what their thought process was.
You know, you say RaceRoom may be too niche, but do you not think this is how you become like this? I understand that, but this is how you become less niche. I just think these two games are live service platforms. They've been around for a long time. So if we were going to see a console move, you'd have expected it a long time ago. However, you know, but when these games were first developed, you were talking about what, PlayStation 3, 2, 3 for iRacing, just about, maybe 3 or possibly 4 for RaceRoom. This is, you know, this started a long time ago. It's changed a lot, so it's a big thing. I think surely it's got to be something to do with the technology and the porting ability. iRacing, I know, has complex physics. I wonder how well that would translate to console technology, and whether the online racing ecosystem would work as well. And you know, RaceRoom's maybe seems like a more simplified, maybe a more straightforward prospect as a product to get onto console. But again, it comes down to finances, porting ability, and whether that takes away from your PC only crowd. So I would love to see both on console, same as you, Tom. But realistically, I don't expect it to happen.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you there. I'd love to see them, but these titles are so old, and there's like an imbroglio of old-fashioned code and subscription payment models that just might not work in current generation consoles. So I think it'd have to be like a sequel or something like this. I mean, iRacing is investing heavily in consoles. It's just doing it with the NASCAR game and the IndyCar game, which share some assets with iRacing, if not the physics. So there's that, all the net code, all the online multiplayer. Sad, but hey, they're doing something. And then RaceRoom, I think RaceRoom was just very much staying its lane. It's a small team, but before RaceRoom, the progenitor to it was Race 07. So shared a lot of the team and underlying code. And there was a lesser spotted, and this has got awful stickers all over it because I've got it at Computer Exchange recently, a 360 game called Race Pro, which was the content from Race 07 and by the Simbin, as they were then called, team. So you could argue that some part of RaceRoom's lineage did actually make it to console ones, which is obscure and niche, but really quite an interesting title. I'd love for them to maybe do some sort of spin-off. So you won't necessarily see RaceRoom, but they've got a lot of really cool content that could work in a certain package title, like a DTM game, for example.
I do miss the magazine style advertising on the front and back of games, actually. So it's probably a dying art that somebody sits and designs the front and back covers. I remember you buy a game at, I don't know, Tesco's or Asda or whatever as a kid, and then you'd read the back cover over and over again on the drive back before you went and played it. It was kind of fun.
Manual.
And the manual. Don't forget the manual. And any game with a map. Whew, if you got a map inside it was great. Or sometimes you get a map on a poster and you put the poster up on your wall.
There's an advert in the back of the manual for Race Pro that says, "Get real, the ultimate racing experience with the Xbox wireless racing wheel," which I can tell you now is not the ultimate racing experience.
Not anymore.
Yeah, but was it back then though, Tom? You know,
no,
it wasn't. Put on your lap.
It wasn't. I played Race 07 on a Driving Force GT back in the day, and that was, or Logitech Wingman, and that was probably a lot better. I'm just gonna say that now.
Did you say the wheel is wireless? To what extent is it wireless? Because presumably there must be some wires.
I don't know, because There are some wires in the top picture there, which is very hard to see, but there are some wires on the floor. I don't understand how.
Right, wireless-ish.
Wireless-ish.
For the audio listeners to this podcast, the schedule has just been totally ripped up and thrown away because Tom is now head down reading cover to cover the manual of this game.
Well, on the inside cover of the game, they've got all like the cars that they're licensed. Anyway, we're moving on to the Italian Jojo.
No. More on wire light steering wheels, please.
No. I got down on Race Pro rabbit hole there. The Italian Jojo says, what do you think made people migrate, in inverted commas, to LMU once ACC started declining numbers compared to others? That's Le Mans Ultimate and Assetto Corsa Competizione. Any theories as to why it's sort of LMU seems to be the one that people have gravitated towards?
Yes, I do, because I think that LMU is the best equivalent of a fairly focused, but most importantly, accessible and affordable racing game package that you can buy to do your online racing on. And I'm going to also add context to that. I think players migrated from R Factor 2 to ACC when ACC first started getting popular, because I think a lot of people were trying to do their online racing on R Factor 2 through servers and everything, and it was obviously a bit sandboxy, and ACC kind of put that in a slightly easier to play package and just made a solid game that felt a little bit less like an exam to try and set up properly each time. Whereas Le Mans Ultimate has sort of fixed those issues, not all of them, but a lot of them with R Factor 2, and is providing a great up-to-date racing experience that is ranked, but more importantly, is affordable, and the physics are good and the racing's good. So I think iRacing would be the alternative migration, but iRacing's a totally different subscription model, different pricing package, which I think changes the clientele. Clientele's a horrible word, sorry. Changes the consumer in terms of who's actually racing on it. Sorry, guys, I'm not calling you all clients.
Tom will start talking about AI now.
I think it's just a matter of timing. I think all of everything that John said is absolutely right, and will massively contribute to it. But I also think it's just a matter of ACC as a game that is no longer getting updates. Kunos stopped shouting about it. There was no kind of exciting roadmap that people could follow on for. We'd been driving it on for esports competitions, and nearly every sim racing league had an ACC division. We'd driven it absolutely to death, and then new game comes along with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 year lifespan ahead of it, with roadmaps and new licenses and new team, and it's motorsport games and blah 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 blah. Like it was just ACC had its day, did really really well, was the best at what it did for a long time, and then LMU has kind of slotted in nicely afterwards to continue that trend. Really,
couldn't agree more. Timing is key. LMU was on the ascendancy through early access and context of features as ACC, the priority switch to Evo. So we'll move on quickly because that was succinctly done, Tom.
This next question, by the way, is brilliant.
That is a full podcast episode. This next
I know,
question,
so
it really is. Maybe it could be. Maybe we should just.
We'll move on then. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think we should probably at least say what the question is, and then we should say what the question is, and then invite listeners to give their suggestions.
There we go then. So Rich says, a genie has given you the ability to make a Frankenstein racing game. You are basically Guillermo del Toro. Which bits are you taking from which game, new and old allowed? Well, I mean, I have some ideas, but let us know your comments on Spotify and YouTube, and then we can discuss them next week. So which parts of old and new racing games would you combine to create a new one?
I would like some time to prep for that one.
Yeah, okay, fine. So nice one, Rich. Great question. We'll circle back to it. Oh, that was a corporate thing with our clientele.
Circle back. Yeah, we'll all just kind of like break out into some touchdown zones, heads together, and then we'll come back
and talk about endemic brands. Yeah. Right, Adam B. With AC Rally, Assetto Corsa Rally getting an FIA championship, do you guys feel that this is confirmation that WRC license is going their way for version 1.0 release? So just to be clear, last week, and we could have talked about it in the news at the top of this show, but it's all on the website. The FIA is running a competition using Assetto Corsa Rally. They will be mainly using leaderboards, and because there's no club system or asynchronous or synchronous multiplayer systems. But there will be an in-person finale in China at an FIA event. He says
confidently.
However, does that mean it's getting a WRC license? No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Hi, Adam. Not necessarily, exactly as Tom says, because these could be seen as two separate things. Of course, you could begin to make links to what you think might happen based on the FIA and its involvement with the WRC, but I look at these as very separate situations, separate entities, and separate goals. So we already know the current situation with the WRC license, although it's a bit up in the air with things that are happening over at Nacon. But basically, it does not confirm anything for sure.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's a good question from Adam. Adam runs the British University Sim Racing League, so lots of universities all have their own sim racing societies, and then they race all together via a community that Adam has been running incredibly well for the last few years. I've done a couple of races with him. It's good. But unfortunately, Adam, no, is the answer on this occasion. I don't think it has anything to do with it. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the FIA and Motorsport UK and FIA official esports generally is a bit of an interesting one, because they're trying to, it feels like from the outside, it does feel like they're trying to sort of, regulate and mandate various esports activities. But so far, the series, the individual ASNs, so the kind of the country by country organizations, so Motorsport UK, for example, would be the UK ASN. I don't feel like they're getting everybody on board in all respects. And then also you kind of add an extra layer that sim racing is a version of gaming. I'm sorry, but it is. And so gamers don't really like to be told what to do, how to do it, etc. And so I do feel like it's a bit of an uphill battle that they're fighting. But it's an interesting question, isn't it? What's the FIA's role in esports and gaming, and how much should they be mandating the direction of travel when it comes to sim racing? It could be another podcast.
Yeah, just to be clear, Adam, the FIA, when they're doing their esports initiatives like this, they are platform agnostic. So they're just trying to grow sim racing through their own way, trying to legitimize certain competitions that they think of. So they will work with developers when they see fit, and when developers come to them, or vice versa. So I can see where you come to that. There is, later this week, it's already been publicly announced, it was supposed to be last month, but it's going to be a day after this podcast goes out. There'll be a big NACON presentation, and we expect there to be further discussions or announcements or talk about how the official WRC game, which they are creating, is coming along. So keep your eyes on the Traxion website later this week. Okay, Wyans says, is there room in the space for an online sim racing title with RPG elements? Say something with the depth and detail of the best offline career modes, so team management, financials, facility, car upgrades, etc., but focused on online competition. Instead of abstract safety ranks and driver ratings, have a budget and reputation tied to your online results that impacts what cars and parts you can afford. Long one, but I think I would love something like this. I think we've talked about it before, there's a sort of a rush to get career modes within sim racing, which I think is amazing. So Automobilista 2, iRacing, and Le Mans Ultimate are all working on them, and we'll see bits of these throughout the year. But this is taking it another step further, where you're using your online racing to be somehow involved in even deeper progression. How you do it, I don't know. But I do think there's space, and I'd like to see something like this.
I was just going to say, it's essentially taking the MMO RPG model and applying a sim racing skill set to it, right?
Yeah.
It would be interesting. It's obviously not. It's definitely not impossible. I wonder why it hasn't been done before. Because Wine's point is interesting in that single player campaigns. We have seen single player campaigns that have this depth: team management, financials, facility and car upgrades, etc. But yeah, the online competition seems to focus mainly on safety ratings, driver ratings, etc. And it's almost like a sandbox environment. The online world is a sandbox environment, but just with those two numbers, which essentially is just for matchmaking, right? It's not.
Yeah.
You could suggest that it's a career mode just to increase your number, but if you were to pitch an MMORPG and be like, right, the better you get, the higher your number, and that is the game. It's not super compelling, right? And so sim racing takes center stage over the context within which you're sim racing. So yeah, very interesting. I'd love to see it. It'd be interesting to explore how you might add it. In fact, going back to Rich's question, which bits are you taking from which game? He didn't say which sim racing game. So you could take, I'm going to combine Roller Coaster Tycoon with iRacing with Hitman. Tune in
so
next
you're
week.
making iRacing Arcade.
Yeah.
I've always thought it would be really cool to kind of implement a very in-depth sort of single-player RPG element, and then potentially just switch it where normally you would jump into a single race against AI, but instead you can enter a lobby waiting to do an online version of that particular event. I always thought that'd be quite cool. But can I just add Formula One World, which has been around for a few years now? Would you maybe class Formula One World as a sort of RPG online based mode? It's not that good, but does it technically count as one, would you say, Tom?
I don't know what Formula One World is.
It's one of the game modes inside the game as opposed to a game itself, right?
Oh, but what's it called, though?
F1 World. Is it not called F1 World?
Is it called F1 World?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Right? Can we just
point?
Can we just no? Let's not edit this. This is quick fire quiz right now, and I've got a question right. Tom has got a question wrong.
It's called F1 World. Yes.
I was frantically Googling there.
Sorry, I was thinking for some reason, is it a standalone game from the past on PC that I've forgotten? You know, EA did that one where it was like a F1 Manager, and then they also had one that was across many seasons. But you're right. Yeah. Sorry, F1 World. So that debuted in, was it F1 24 or F1 23? Oh, no,
earlier,
F1 23 was My Life. F1 Life or whatever. F1 24 and 25 of F1 World.
This is Tom desperately scrambling for credibility.
Yes. No, do you know what? John makes a point. It was really bad, but it does do this. You have to do some online racing or offline racing. You get points. It upgrades your car.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Yeah, so that is a light version of exactly what we're discussing. It'd be cool if you could also, if you could build a team and get sponsors and have financial, all that sort of stuff would be really, really cool.
Which the F1 games do have in the manager modes. So yeah,
who knows? GTA 6 is around the corner. Maybe they'll do it.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Oh man, complete brain freeze there. Sorry, John. I was like, what the heck is F1 World? Oh yeah, it's the mode that you have to play, but no one properly does in F1 25. Okay, we're going to wrap up here, but Edward Hunter says, is Formula E better off licensing the DLC to Formula Legends or to a more hardcore sim, given its somewhat niche audience? Well, funny you said that, Edward. If you listen to 2 weeks ago episode, which was titled something like Red Spot on the Brink, we had a discussion there where John absolutely slapped me down, so that is well worth a listen. And then Turge, he sent us a couple of questions. We're going to save that for another time, so great questions. There was also some more in Discord, which we will save. It doesn't mean if you put a question in there, we might not answer it, but we do try and get through most of them that make sense, and we'll save some for another time.
Hang on. So the question about the Legends thing, I'm just going to reiterate your plea for people who haven't listened to the episode a couple of weeks ago to go back and listen to it, because in that episode you will find phrases such as antithesis of the Yang Wang, absolute bobbins, John's quote, and I quote, Formula Legends is not even the best game with Legends in the title that be suitable for Formula E, and Tom, hoisted by my own petard. Sorry, we can't just brush over that. That was a fantastic episode where we discussed that exact point.
Yeah, give that a listen if you consider such nonsense. But for now, we're going to leave you. It was a shambolic episode, but hey, that's bank holidays have impacted us there, and I completely forgot about what F1 World is because I'm writing a video script for Red Sport, which will be on the channel this week, and it's controversial. So please give that a watch. And also follow John on the Traxion GT YouTube channel for some live streams this week. We've obviously follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Give us a rating and follow there. You can watch it in video form on Spotify as well as YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Visit the Traxion.gg website every single day. And of course, it would be remiss of me not to mention the email newsletter, which Tom is writing immediately after this podcast. Go to traxion.gg/newsletter or click the pop-up or the banner. And of course, one last thing, it's a Sim Racing Expo Charlotte. Check it out. All right, that's it. Thank you. Bye.